everybody, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2648B, and today's date is December 9th, 2021, and the title of the episode is Trump Confirmed That He's Returning the Bullhorn Back to We the People. Let's talk about being prepared. I love the solar water heater. The solar water heater is an ultra-portable thermos that's powered with solar energy. It boils water, tea, coffee, noodles, and more within minutes from virtually anywhere. This is a must-have piece of gear for every prepper and survivalist, in my opinion. With the recent crunch in the supply chain system, many Americans won't be receiving holiday gifts this year. The solar water heater is currently in stock and can ship to your loved ones just in time for the holidays. I highly recommend the solar water heater as a gift for yourself or for the witty prepper in your family. Get yours this holiday season for 20% off by going to solarwaterheater.com. That's solarwaterheater.com, or use the link in the description. And don't forget promo code X20 to get 20% off. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, fake news, big tech, they are now panicking like we've never seen before. Remember, with this great game of chess on the chessboard here, we already know who the winner is. It's already been determined. All we're doing is playing out the rest of the moves. And we can see the deep state players, yes, they're trying to shake Trump. They're trying to shake the Patriots. They're trying to get them to mess up, but it's not working out. And every time the Patriots make a move, it gets worse and worse for the deep state players. Think about what Trump has to do. He has to show everyone the plan of the private Western central bankers, the plan of the deep state players. He has to show everyone how they are dictators, how they don't follow the rule of law, how they don't follow the Constitution, how they don't really care about the Constitution, how they really don't care about the people. He had to show this to we the people so everyone could understand. And this is what we've been witnessing this whole entire time. We have to understand that these people, they're on a different track. And since the plan is now accelerated, everyone can see everything. It's not a conspiracy anymore. You don't have to wait for it. It just happens. Just like the border crisis, Afghanistan, the economy, the pandemic. No one had to wait. Everyone could see it because it's happening. Boom, 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 one after another. Now think about what Trump has to do. Yes, he has to get rid of the pandemic, which I do believe everything is moving in that direction. You can see Europe, the fake leaders, the WHO, the FDA, the CDC, Biden here in America's puppet masters, they're all panicking. See, this is actual panic when you see them saying, hey, we're going to force you to get the vaccine or else. Why are they panicking so much about the vaccine? Omicron is mild. It really doesn't do anything. Actually, the pandemic is really over. If you look at the CDC, if you look at their numbers, if you look at natural immunity, herd immunity, we've already reached that point. And remember, the pandemic that was never a pandemic is gone. And what I mean by that is the fake news, the fake PCR tests, they created something out of nothing. Yes, there's a virus, but it's not what they said it is. Not by a long shot. If it was what they said it was, people would be dying all over the place. Just take the homeless in New York City, in Chicago, in California, and every other city. They'd be dead all over the streets. Because you think they're wearing masks? You think they're cleaning up every day? They're living on the streets. They would have flatbed trucks driving around, and the film crews would be out there filming all the deaths and how they're throwing the bodies on the flatbed trucks. But do we see this? No, I've been in many cities. And guess what? Everyone is still there. Not a problem. Have you ever seen one of your friends or anyone just drop dead of COVID? And now we're finding out all those people that in the beginning said, oh, I know someone had COVID. Do you really? Because the PCR test gives false positives. You don't know if they had the flu. You don't know if they had COVID. You have no clue. Think about the hospitals. They were telling everyone was dying of COVID. Then we come to find out, hey, this guy died of a motorcycle accident. Why did you put him as COVID? Oh, because he had COVID at the time of death. But that's not what he died of. He died of a motorcycle accident. What about this guy with a heart attack? Same thing. Now people are questioning it all. And they're also questioning how many people really got vaccinated. Because guess what? There's an organization called KFF.org, and they've been tracking a lot of this. And you know what they're saying? You know all those vaccine numbers where they're saying, oh, all these people are vaccinated and all we need is a little bit more? Guess what? they're inflated. Yes, they lied once again. They're lying to keep this pandemic going. The government, these deep state players, guess what? They lie, then they lie again, and they lie again. So why are they pushing the booster after booster after booster? Because they need everyone to get the vaccine or their plan fails. That's why they're so desperate now. Because what happened here is the unvaccinated, maybe the person that got only one jab, they've reached herd immunity. The new tests are going to show that they don't have anything. Only the people that are getting the boosters over and over and over. They can't have this. If that happens, their entire plan fails and everyone looks at them and going, what have you done here? Because the only people that have problems are the people that are getting the boosters. But if everyone had a booster, which they're trying to do, they wouldn't have that problem. Their plan is failing. That's why you see them so desperate, where they're telling you, we're going to tie you down and we're going to stick a needle in you if you don't do what we say. And as we get closer and closer and closer to December, then January and February, because remember, the tests aren't just going to be delivered on January 1st. It's going to take at least 2-3 more months where the new tests are actually out there, where they separate the flu and COVID. So they know they only have a certain period of time, and this is why they're going to ramp it up like we've never seen before. But all the people have to do is what? Like we've been doing, don't comply. Just like we didn't comply with the mandates, which are not laws, by the way, and they fail every single time. So Trump, we could see everything is in motion. The pandemic is disappearing. I know you don't think it right now, but just sit back and watch. The other thing that Trump had to do was give the voice back to we the people. Because remember, over time, what happened? The deep state players took we the people and they took the voice away from us and they gave it to themselves, a small minority of people, and they shape the narrative, making you think this is what everyone is thinking. And how do they reinforce that? With their fake polls. And they make you believe that, yes, everyone is on board with this. They do it with the election. They do it with the vaccines. They do it with their agendas like climate change or global warming, whatever they call it today. With everything that they're trying to do, they try to convince you that, yes, everyone is on board. The population here is on board. But guess what? It's all fake, and people are starting to realize this. This is why Trump, in the very beginning, called out the fake news. He had to start that to show people how fake they really are and how they're the enemy of the people. And guess what? People are starting to realize this now. So what is Trump doing? Well, he confirmed on an interview that he is returning the voice back to we the people. Remember, there are certain things that had to be done to drain the swamp, to take control. Remember, the swamp, the deep state players, the private Western Central Bank, they play dirty. Keep this in mind. We're in a war. It's an information war. Thank God it's not a shooting war. This is what they really wanted. They wanted a real war, which was going to be controlled. Yes, they were going to destroy a lot of things. There was going to be death and destruction. Trump countered all of this. Then they had to rely on the pandemic. He countered that with a vaccine because he knew what their plan was. They were going to keep the entire system shut down for 8, 9, 10 years. The global economy was going to be shut down for that time period. They were planning on just sending you a check every month of $1,000, and all the supplies and everything on the shelves were going to go bare. And people were going to commit suicide. There were going to be a lot of deaths. Yes, there were studies already done by the Brown Institute showing that this was going to happen. There were going to be hundreds of millions of people that were going to perish. Instead, he countered everything that they were going to try to do with the vaccine, because they said the only way out of this is with a vaccine. And then he gave the choice to we the people. Do you want it or don't you? But during this process, guess what? Everyone saw who the dictators were. Maybe not in the beginning, but look where we are today. And now he's going to be returning the voice to we the people. Because without our voice, it's very difficult to control the narrative. And how is he giving us back the voice? Well, with his acquisition company and his Truth Social platform. And he's going to rip it away from the deep state players. And the people will then become the news. Not CNN, not Fox, not MSNBC, not CNBC, not the New York Times, Washington Post. He's going to give it back to we, the people. And the people are going to be countering everything that they do. And everyone is going to be looking at we, the people. And soon, all those news organizations, as their stock starts to plummet because they're liars and they're telling everyone fake information, I do believe Trump is going to start purchasing a lot of this, actually his acquisition company. And we'll have to see how all this plays out. But we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later in this report. But first, let's talk about what's happening and what everyone is seeing with the Biden administration, because we can see that he's in a lot of trouble. And this was planned from the very beginning. Trump placed him in the resident position. He wanted to show America the difference between the deep state plan and someone who really believes and really wants America to succeed. And everyone can see that everything that Biden is saying is a lie after lie after lie. And he doesn't even tell the truth. Actually, the puppet masters that are dictating to him everything that needs to be said, they don't tell the truth. They've never have. See, we were infiltrated from within. Now you're seeing it. And the people are seeing it. And how do you know? Well, even though these polls are still manipulated, you really can't do much with 16%. Just 16% of American adults strongly approve of Biden's job performance. Right now, Biden's re-election poll shows a dismal 22% support, and Harris is at 12%. I would say by February, March, April, they're going to be Harris is probably going to be in the single digits. Biden's going to be very, very close. And that tells you everything you need to know. Now, what's very interesting is that Judicial Watch, they've been trying to get the records from Biden when he was in the Senate. And the University of Delaware is refusing to release Biden's records and said that the papers will not be released until 2 years after Biden retires, which actually is going to turn into 10 years, then 15 years, and they're never going to release them. Almost like with Pfizer and their records, where the FDA is saying, we'd like to keep those under lock and key until about 75 years. But you should get the vaccine because it's safe. Judicial Watch right now in the Daily Caller, they filed a Freedom of Information Act request lawsuit in 2020 for all of Biden's Senate records, 1,850 boxes of records. Now, the Delaware Supreme Court this week reversed the Delaware Superior Court and demanded the University of Delaware provide more answers on the document secrecy. See, Biden, he doesn't want his Senate records unsealed because there would be evidence of a sexual assault complaint filed by Tara Reade in 1993. Reade has repeatedly called on Biden to release the records from his 36 years as a senator, which are currently inaccessible to the public. So Joe Biden, he'd be in a lot of trouble. Plus, he also spoke to Putin while he was serving as a senator. What did he talk about? What's in there that he doesn't want the people to see? Did he collude with Russia? Did he work with Russia? Of course he did. We know this. So did Clinton. So did a lot of many other people like Obama. And yes, that's all in there. And Judicial Watch is continually digging and digging and digging until they're going to get to the bottom of this. And I do believe they'll probably find the information. Now, what's very interesting is we know that the Jussie Smollett court case is going on right now, the trial. And we know that it's not televised on purpose. We know he went ahead and created the entire hoax. And I do believe it's not televised because if he does get off, if he does, this way it was all hidden. If he doesn't get off, the fake news can try to spin the story of all of this. Is it going to work? I don't think so. I don't think the people are stupid. I think the people know exactly what's going on here. Because there was a poll that was cast, and this is from the Harvard Capps Harris poll, and they asked the question, do you think Jussie Smollett faked the hate crime? Well, guess what? 74% thinks that he did. So the people know the truth. The people know exactly what's going on here. It wasn't two white guys wearing MAGA hats. It was his friends. One of them he had a relationship with. They were black. They put on a MAGA hat. They attacked him. It was for the media. We know that Booker and Harris, they were pushing their lynching bill, their anti-lynching bill, I should say. And they tried to use all of this to create that crisis and pin it on Trump supporters. Seems like that's a common theme, doesn't it? But he was found out. And he was also found out that he paid them $3,500. Of course, he said, oh, no, that was for him being my coach for physical fitness. It's ridiculous. We know exactly what went on because he was trading text messages with Don Lemon. Don Lemon was telling him what was going on and warning him about certain things. Maybe he should be brought into this or fired from CNN. Now, what's very interesting is I know that Biden, the deep state players, the puppet masters, they're pushing climate change. Well, guess what? The American people really don't care. 2% of Americans rank climate change a top priority. You know what people really want? They want the economy fixed. That's their major concern, plus COVID. That's the biggest concern right now, not climate change. People don't care about that. They know that's fake too. They've been watching, they've been hearing, they've been listening, and they're seeing the facts, and they know that, yeah, you know something, everything that they've been telling us for going back in many, many years, where there's going to be, snow is going to be a thing of a past. We're going to see California, Florida underwater. Beaches are going to be gone. The seas are going to be rising. None of it happened. It was all fake. And now the earth is cooling down, just like Trump said. So this is why people don't really care about it, because they know it's a hoax. It's fake. It's to enrich the deep state players. It's about controlling we the people. It's about taxing us and controlling us. That's it. That's all that this is about. Same thing with the Great Reset and the Green New Deal. It's all part of the same thing. And we can see everything that they're doing right now, everything that they're trying to hide is falling apart, especially with Ghislaine Maxwell. Everything they're doing is about to fall apart. Now, what's very interesting is you could see how they're panicking. Again, Ghislaine Maxwell, her trial is what? Hidden from we the people. Why? Just in case of names that might come out during the trial? They don't want people to hear what really has been going on with the sex cult, where they are blackmailing certain politicians, certain Hollywood individuals are involved, royals that are involved, going all the way up maybe to the Vatican. They didn't want people to hear any of this. Yeah, this is why they've been hiding all of this. Same thing with Jussie Smollett. But we can see that they're panicking, and Storm has arrived. 17 put this out on Telegram. Now, this is Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. They're out there telling everyone, hey, we're going to tell you what's important and what's not important and what things are a hoax and not real. So this is what they said. MSNBC. The magazine, The Atlantic, devotes itself to the real threats that America faces, but perhaps no issue is more important than the conspiratorial thinking that has led many otherwise well-meaning Americans to raise awareness about child sex trafficking epidemic that simply does not exist. So they're trying to convince us that this whole child sex trafficking thing, it's just fake. It's one of those myths that everyone believes in, almost like those riots back in 2020. That was a myth too. It's funny. All these people that are part of the crime syndicate, they keep telling us how what we believe and what we see with our own eyes and what's really going on is a myth, and you shouldn't be looking over here. They really think we're that stupid that we're going to believe these idiots telling us not to look over here, that this isn't really happening. I mean, think about Nadler when the riots were going on back in 2020, when he said this is a complete myth, it's not happening. And the fake news was out there saying it's mostly peaceful protests. And all you see is fire behind them, people running around, smashing windows and looting. And they're trying to convince us that this isn't happening. Just like they're trying to convince us that, hey, everything that you're seeing with the Epstein Maxwell trial, it has to do with Trump. Actually, it's the opposite. What are they doing? They're projecting everything onto Trump because this is what they did. Think about it. Bill Clinton, he flew on the Lolita Express and other planes. How many times? 26 times. Went to 26 different locations. Think about that for a second. It's unbelievable. Maxwell Trial Tracker, they're the ones who are following the trial, and their Twitter account was taken down. Then they put up a back one, and I think that one was taken down. Now they're on another Twitter account. They just keep going and going and going. But they put this out there. When the FBI seized these hard drives and the CDs storing images, They appeared with corresponding FBI evidence tags already present on them, suggesting FBI and law enforcement officials had already been in possession of, reviewed, and returned Epstein's hard drives. That is very interesting. And then we have Julian's rum. And he went back to Ghislaine Maxwell, certain pictures that are being presented now, and noticed behind Ghislaine Maxwell is the keystone in a mirror. It's shaped as the keystone. And remember, on these posts, there are multiple meanings. It's not just one meaning. And Stable John put this out and said, QAnon, hiding in plain sight, symbolism to be their downfall. Another keystone from Epstein's Island. And then Julian referred us to post 3452, which is July 18, 2019. And it says, explore further. So he went to post 4566. And it says, argument. Maxwell is not big enough name to trigger a mass awakening. Down below it says, one leads to another, to another, to another, one leads to many. Then another post, it says, one connects to another. Find the keystone. What holds everything together? He says, I'll say it. Maxwell is the keystone. Keystone, if America falls, the world falls. Keystone, if Maxwell falls, the cult falls. Then points to post 4565, and it says, possible Epstein was a puppet, not the main person of interest. Financed by who or what foreign entities? I do believe that Maxwell was actually the one directing everything, and Epstein was the puppet. And I do believe, Julian, that's pretty much what he's saying right now. Now, what's very interesting, it seems that the trial has been put on hold right now because one of Ghislaine Maxwell's trial lawyers has become ill. Now, that is very interesting, and we'll have to see what happens next, which tells me that things weren't going their way, and they're regrouping right now and trying to figure out what tactic they should take. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that Trump, he's building Truth Social. He's building a video platform, something like Twitter, and this is going to allow people to speak freely. No shadow banning, no censoring. Allow people a place to go to hear the truth and talk to each other. We have the other social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc. They're doing the opposite. Twitter continually comes out with its new policies. Right now, Twitter is giving its most prominent users special treatment under a secretive program called Project Guardian. Thousands of Twitter accounts most likely are going to experience harassment, including those with high follower accounts, celebrities, and politicians. So think about this for a second. They created something, and Facebook created something like this too, called XCheck. But they created this program called Project Guardian, and they're going to protect celebrities, politicians, and others from harassment and abuse. Now, why would they do that now? Why would these people be harassed on Twitter? Let's go back to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. What do you think is going to come out sooner than later? Do you think there's going to be a lot of information about certain celebrities, certain information about certain royals, certain information about politicians? Yes. So what is Twitter putting in place? Protections. Facebook already has it because they know what's coming. So far, Twitter, since the new individual stepped into Dorsey's position, has set up a new police type of system where people have an easier way of reporting certain tweets, and also set up a system where, hey, if you have any pictures where you didn't get the consent of people, we're going to take you down. So start putting all this together. What are they doing? They're building a firewall, a defensive mechanism to shut out all the information that's about to come out. That's what they're doing. Now, Trump is doing the opposite. He's building something where everyone can see and hear everything without censorship. So they're doing the opposite things. What kind of effect do you think it's going to have on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the rest when they keep tightening and they keep locking down, they keep censoring? and they keep trying to control the narrative, do you think they're going to destroy themselves in the end? Because everyone will be looking at other platforms and they're saying, wow, I can get all the information, the truth. I can question it. I can look it up. I'm finding the facts compared to Twitter and the rest. Let's talk about your health. Weight management is a universal struggle. After we turn 20, the struggle becomes much harder. This is because our body's metabolism slows by as much as 4% each decade. This is why I highly recommend Keto with X22.com. This is an amazing powder that helped many people lose weight in a shorter period of time than anything else they've tried. Much like the keto diet, it can help elevate levels of fat-burning ketones. And for every order today, BioTrust donates a nutritious meal to a hungry child in your honor through our partnership with NoKidHungry.org. To date, BioTrust has provided over 5 million meals to hungry kids. Please help BioTrust hit their goal of 6 million meals this year. If you want to help support your weight loss, you'll love Keto with X22.com. Get up to 51% off for the next 24 hours by going to Keto with X22.com or by clicking the link in the description. They're about to basically destroy themselves under their own weight of illegality. They're doomed here. And what's very interesting is they're not stopping. I'm talking about the deep state players. They're continuing on, but look what happened here. Letitia James, who's been going after Trump, trying to find something on him. And I do believe that she was promised that, hey, if you find something on Trump, you're going to be the next governor of New York. Well, it seems that she has suspended her campaign for governor. You know why? Because after 2 years of trying to find something on Trump, she can't. And she said, I'm just going to stay in my attorney general position, and I have very important cases to go over, and I'm still looking into Trump stuff. She can't find anything on Trump. So guess what? Those individuals handing her the governorship of New York has just fallen apart. Their entire push, their plan, their narrative, everything the deep state has been trying to do is completely falling apart, and it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. Think about Russian collusion. Think about how they project everything onto Trump. Let's go back in time for a sec. Let's go back to July 16, 2018. This is from Nancy Pelosi. Every single day, I find myself asking, what do the Russians have on Trump personally, financially, and politically? The answer to the question is that only thing that explains his behavior and his refusal to stand up to Putin. Think about what she just said here. Now look at Biden. What does Putin have on Biden? What does the Russians have on Clinton's? What do the Russians, maybe they have something on Pelosi. We know the Ukrainians do. Isn't Biden just going along with whatever Putin says or whatever the Russians say? Is he really pushing back and he's really stern with Putin? No, it's all fake. Russia controls Biden. Go back to Judicial Watch. They're trying to get what? His Senate records. What's in there? His correspondence with who? Putin. So everything Nancy said is the complete opposite. They projected all of it on Trump. And now with Durham, it's all turned out to be fake, phony, and false. It was actually the Clintons, Biden, Obama, and the rest colluding with Russia. Their entire narrative is completely falling apart, and nothing can stop this. Nothing. As more information is produced, it's going to get worse and worse for all these individuals. And I'm waiting for Pulitzer to take back the awards that they gave the Washington Post and the New York Times, because they're trapped in all of this too. Now, we know that the pandemic is being pushed like we've never seen before, because the deep state players, Big Pharma, all these people, they're trapped. The people of this world did not do what they wanted them to do. Get the jab and continually get the jab. Actually, most of the people didn't get the jab, or they only got the first jab and said, whoa, I'm backing off here. I need some more evidence here that this is not going to harm me. And now people are refusing the booster. So what are they doing? Well, the deep state players, they're letting you know, listen, we're going to have to go to third, fourth, fifth, sixth, maybe the eighth booster to control all of this. You think anyone's believing this? No. And they're becoming very, very angry, where they're pushing not just mandates, they're telling you, you must obey or else. And what do I mean by or else? They're already placing penalties on people. If you don't get the vaccine, you'll be charged. Think about the letter that was sent to Trump from Archbishop Vigano. Remember, there was a line in there that said people are going to be thrown into camps and all their assets will be taken from them. Think about that for a second. That's what they're going to do in the end. That's what they're going to try to do, but it's going to fail. Now, Dr. Eli David put this out and said, today from Deputy Director of largest hospital in Israel, who is also a member of Ministry of Health Committee for approving vaccines, said those who think we won't need to take more boosters are wrong. We will need to take the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and so on until we control this thing. They're panicking right now because when people don't take their drug, it's not even a vaccine, their drug, they're going to be found out that everything that they were giving we the people was not to stop the virus, not to combat the virus. It was to push their agenda because in the end, like I said in the beginning of this report, in the end, the tests are going to show that the people with the boosters have COVID. The people that are unvaccinated, the people that got the one jab or maybe the 2 jabs and never got anything after that, remember it wanes over time, they don't have it. This is what they're most afraid of. Now, what's very interesting, and we said this yesterday, the New York Supreme Court, they delivered a crushing blow to Bill de Blasio. And right now, everything is blocked. The NYPD, the New York workers, they do not have to get the vaccine. Right now, the hearing is scheduled for December 14th, and we'll have to see how this plays out. But when you're looking at all of Biden's vaccine mandates, they have now officially been blocked. And then we have the U.S. Senate. They voted 52-48 to repeal Biden's federal vaccination mandate. And now it goes to the House, which is controlled by the Democrats, and they're going to vote on it. Now, what's very interesting is that if the House decides to say, oh, yes, you know what, we're going against this. Jen Psaki was out there saying, listen, if this bill comes to Biden's desk, he's going to veto it. No kidding. He's the one who created the mandates. We'll have to see what the House does. But this shows you that the people, they don't want the vaccine mandates. And if the House decides, oh, no, we're going to keep the mandates, they're all doomed. See, the people are fighting back in this country. The people don't want this. This is why they've been losing, because it's completely unconstitutional. So if the House decides, oh, yes, we're going to allow this, the federal judges have already been saying this is unconstitutional. How are the people going to view this? Well, they're going to be looking at this saying, okay, you're going to allow an unconstitutional mandate? Well, we're not voting for you then. You're out. They're going to be doomed. Let's see which way they go on this one. It's going to be very interesting. Now, if it gets to Biden's desk and he vetoes the mandate, which he pushed out there and the judges across the country said it was completely unconstitutional, how are the people going to view him and all the puppet masters? They're in a no-win situation because if the House votes to cancel the mandates and Biden doesn't veto it, well, why did he push the mandates in the first place? No matter which way he goes, he's done for. Same thing with the House. This is not going to work out well for them. They're screwed. Now, what's very interesting, we've been talking about this for quite a while, that all these numbers that they throw out there and how Biden goes out and says, oh, listen, everyone's almost vaccinated. We have 100 million people, and I'm just making up these numbers. These aren't the exact numbers. 100 million or 110 million that got the first jab. Then we have, 30 million or 80 million or whatever it is that got the 2 jabs. Then we have unvaccinated people who actually Fauci let that slip, saying there was 60 million people that were unvaccinated. So if we have something like 100 and something million people that got the first jab, and there's 60 million people that didn't get the jab at all, and the kids that didn't get it, there's a lot of people that aren't vaccinated, but they're trying to make you think that a lot of people are. Well, it's come out that these numbers are inflated, just like the fake PCR test that tells you everyone has COVID, just like the death numbers, all of it is inflated. Why would they stop with the number of people getting vaccinated? I mean, if you're going to keep the lie going, you got to keep it going. But it turns out that, yes, it is all fake. Experts finally are admitting that the CDC's COVID-19 vaccination rates are inflated. For nearly a month, the CDC's online vaccine tracker has shown that virtually everyone 65 and older in the U.S., 99.9%, has received at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose. That would be remarkable if it was true, but health experts and state officials say it's certainly not. They note that the CDC, as of Sunday, December 5th, had recorded more seniors as having been at least partially vaccinated, 55.4 million, than there are people in the age group, 54.1 million, according to the latest census data for 2019. The questionable data on seniors' vaccination rate illustrates just one of the problems health experts have flagged about the CDC's COVID-19 vaccination data. So they inflated the numbers. This is coming from kff.org. And people are starting to realize there's no way that all these people can be vaccinated. It's the same thing with the PCR test. It doesn't make any sense that all these people had COVID with a test that gives false positives. Actually, if you go to the CDC, go to the FDA, go to the WHO, they tell you the current test doesn't work. It gives too many false positives. This is why we're changing it. Well, if there's a test that gives you false positive, how can you determine how many people have COVID? What happens if certain these people, they might have the common cold, they might have the flu. So we can't even say there's millions of people or hundreds of millions of people that have COVID. Same thing with the death numbers, because we know the hospitals were getting paid for it. And if they're getting paid for it and those numbers are false, and the PCR test is giving us false positives, we don't know the real numbers. This whole thing has been made up out of fake statistics, and the fake news pushed fear. Now, Dr. Ellie David said the following: real pandemic. Hospitals recruit as many doctors and nurses as they can. A fake pandemic. Hospitals fire doctors and nurses. It's clear in which type of pandemic we are in right now. Absolutely. And this is why they're so panicked. They know it's fake. They know if they don't get everyone vaccinated, the jig is up. Everyone's going to start to realize the truth. Now, Trump, he put out a statement. He was pointing to a Washington Examiner article, and it says, Biden's COVID failure. Remember, he came into office and he said, the first 100 days, we're going to get rid of this whole thing. Everyone's going to get a vaccine. It's all going to be gone. But guess what? The people aren't complying with this. And you know what? All the unvaccinated, everyone's fine. It's funny. There's cruise ships with fully vaccinated people. They're coming down with COVID. Because why? It's in the vaccine. They're trying to create the pandemic to keep it going forever and ever and ever. Why? Because their main agenda is what? Depopulation, organ failure. Who makes a lot of money when people are sick? Big Pharma. This is what they've been trying to do from the very, very beginning. Now, Zuby on Twitter put this out. Imagine releasing a product that doesn't properly do what you promised it would do, and then blaming the malfunction on people who did not purchase said product, whilst telling those who bought it that they must buy it again every few months. Think about it for a second. I think that just sums it up right there. And we can see the people around the world, they're fighting back. Look out in Germany. Protest after protest after protest. Why? Because they don't want to get the vaccine. They're protesting against the compulsory vaccination and COVID restrictions. We're seeing this all across Europe. And if you notice one thing that's very interesting about all these deep state players and the fake news, if you notice all their failures, everything that they put into place, you know what they do? They blame we the people. Let's take, for example, Chicago. They have a lot of crime, a lot of shootings, a lot of homicide. Remember, they have one of the strictest gun laws in this country. And think about all the people that they're releasing on bail. Think about all the criminals that they're taking from the border and just bringing them out into all the cities. And we have Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. We know there's a lot of looting going on in Chicago and Seattle and many other places. And she is blaming the retailers for the looting, saying that the retailers downtown in Michigan Avenue, you're not securing your stores. You're not locking things up. You're not hiring security officers. So she's telling everyone, listen, we're defunding the police, but you're to blame because you're not locking things up. You're not hiring security officers to protect your stores. Wait a minute. shouldn't we go after the looters? Shouldn't we go after the criminals and lock them up instead of releasing them without bail and putting them back on the streets? But here's my favorite part. These purses seem to be something that is attracting a lot of organized retail theft units. So if I'm correctly interpreting all this, the retail smash and grab epidemic is not the fault of the Democrats who run Chicago's government as an unopposed monopoly. Instead, it is retailers' fault. So they must now create a private police force, lock up all the merchandise, which they do anyhow, stop attracting crime with their fancy merchandise. Think about this for a second. I mean, this is what they do. They turn it around and blame it on everyone else. Hey, you know what? You were mugged because you were walking down the wrong street. Does that make any sense? No. It's everything that they did. Now, what's very interesting, we see that the appeals court for the January 6th committee, they ruled that Trump must show the documents. He can't shield them. Now, everyone's going to think, oh my God, look, they're going to get all the information. No. Trump is going to bring it to the Supreme Court. What do you think is going to happen in the Supreme Court? See, Trump actually explained this while he was in the White House. Yes, we're going to start at the Ninth Circuit. Then we're going to appeal it and bring it up to the next court. Then we're going to appeal it and bring it to the Supreme Court. And they're going to rule in our favor. What do you think is going to happen here? It's the same thing over and over and over again. Whatever the deep state tries, it's not going to work. Now, what's very interesting is Project Veritas. They went undercover once again. And this is a U.S. House candidate, Alex Stovall from Arizona. And he was caught on video showing that he says one thing to his constituents where he's running for office, and then behind the scenes says the opposite. Now, this is like most politicians, isn't it? I don't think it's really surprising. You're just seeing it actually happen in real time. And this is why you have to watch the actions of people. Forget about what they say. You have to watch what they do. And now we can see firsthand exactly who this person is. So he said, the Republican Party is disgusting to me. Remember, he's running as a Republican. The stuff that they're doing should be criminal and they should be all thrown in prison. Yet, he's a Republican. He also said that McCarthy's, the Cawthorns, the whole audit bullcrap thing that they're doing, I listen to what my counsel tells me, and when they say, go get an endorsement from somebody, I say, all right, cool. Now, on the other side, he says, yes, we want the audits. We want to see what's really going on here. But behind the scenes, he says these audits are ridiculous. So we can see right off the bat who this person really is. And I think he's pretty much done for right now. Now, we know the election fraud information is pouring out right now. And we can see that the deep state players, they're panicking. And remember what we said in the very beginning where they say, listen, the riots, the child sex trafficking, they're all myths. Well, guess what? Brad Raffensperger in Georgia, he just said the State Farm suitcase video, it's an urban myth. Not kidding. Every time they get caught and the people see exactly what's happening firsthand, they try to convince us that it's just a myth. What you're seeing is not the truth. Don't look this way. Don't believe what you're seeing. This is not going to work. Why is he saying this now? Because, first of all, the two individuals who were caught, they are Ruby Freeman and the daughter. They are suing the Gateway pundit, Jim Hoft and Joe Hoft, because they're saying what they reported on is a lie. And now we have Raffensperger trying to back this up, that, yeah, this is just one gigantic myth. But guess what's going to happen during discovery and everything else? It's going to be a complete and utter disaster for them. And I do believe with all the investigations that are going on, they're trying to create a story that really doesn't exist of why all this happened. Just like with everything else, like out in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which we'll be getting to in a sec. But what's very interesting is Wisconsin had a open hearing, a public hearing, and now Arizona, they're going to be doing the same thing. The Representative Mark Fincham, Sonny Borelli, they're already announced that a public hearing on election integrity in Pima County is coming next Monday. So they're going to open this up and they're going to show pretty much everything. And by the way, it's been 75 days since Attorney General Mark Brnovich has received the evidence and he's done nothing. But once again, that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Remember Durham. He went for how many years without producing anything? And now look, he's unsealing indictments. Now, we know there's a lot going on in Wisconsin, and Liz Harrington put this out on Twitter. She said, in Wisconsin, there are 119,283 active voters who have been registered for over 100 years. The number is over 500,000 when you add in inactive voters. Third world country voter registration. The hack is in our voter registration rolls. Dr. Frank can use census data to predict ballots for all 72 counties in Wisconsin. You know who was using census data? The Democrat-funded Mark Zuckerberg. We added census data and zip codes to the map, and so now we're moving to figure out how we'll update this. Then Wisconsin election officials gave Democrat operatives raw data for active voters, absentee applications, ballot received, and ballot rejected. Smoking gun election interference. Emails reveal Milwaukee officials giving Democrats operatives funded by Mark Zuckerberg direct access to Wisconsin's election database to active voters, absentee applications, ballots received, ballots rejected before and during the election. Explosive hearing happening now in Wisconsin on how Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, CTCL, interfered in the 2020 election. The smoking gun. They made an agreement to swap cash for getting out the vote. 8.8 million swap for turning out the vote in 5 Democratic heavy Wisconsin cities that Zuckerberg was involved in. Ahead of the 2020 election, Wisconsin official gave a left-wing operative the holy grail of the state's election system, giving them real-time access to track when absentee ballots were coming in. Think about what's been happening here. And an individual who was testifying in all this said, I don't think they were serious about addressing COVID at all. It was all about getting out the vote from the inception. They used COVID to cheat. And we remember this from the Post. Is this really about the virus or about the election? Liz Harrington also put this out. 157,000 voters in Wisconsin have the same registration number. Rigged. How could that be possible? Oh, well, I guess if you put it on a photocopier, you just keep creating the ballots and then add the signatures and everything else later, you're going to have the same registration number. And look, it's all coming out. Liberty Watch on Telegram put this out and explains the whole thing. Wisconsin voter roll anomalies presented at the Wisconsin Campaigns and Election Committee hearing. It says the following. Veteran software and database engineer Jeff O'Donnell shared his analysis of Wisconsin's August 2021 voter file at the Wisconsin Campaigns and Election Committee hearing today. He found significant red flags and highly suspicious issues, including, although Wisconsin's population is 5.8 million, with approximately 4.5 million eligible to vote, there are more than 7 million separate voter records, suggesting that the voters are placed on inactive status rather than being removed. Approximately 3.3 million Wisconsinites voted in the 2020 election, representing 93.7% of the state's 3.5 million active voters. And you can see how this is all playing out now. And it's getting worse and worse as time goes on because the numbers don't match up. Yes, this isn't just fraud. It's not just cheating. This was planned because we're seeing the pattern now in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Arizona, in Michigan, and many other places. So if we're seeing the same type of pattern, this was a coordinated effort to overthrow the government. That's what we're really looking at here. Treason, sedition. All these people coordinated this. And what do you think Trump is doing right now? He wants each one of these states, probably all 50, to produce the fraud, to show the pattern, to show everyone how they did it. Because people truly believed that the elections were on the up and up. There was no fraud. I think there were certain people that believe that, yeah, there's election fraud. But think about what the fake news has done. They knowingly covered for them. Think about what big tech did. They knowingly covered for them. Think about the corrupt politicians who knowingly covered all of this up. Remember, the cover-up always gets you in the end. Because when you look through everything and you see that things don't match up and you see there's patterns, you see there's fraud, well, how did this happen? Why did you delete the database? Why did you create ballots with the same registration number? Why did you tell people to use Sharpies and others not to use Sharpies? See, that's the cover-up. And they're getting caught up in this. And I do believe Trump, the Patriots, they're all ready for all this information to come out. Remember, Trump right now, he's just confirmed that he's giving the voice back to we the people. And Liz Harrington put this out. And Trump said, if our side doesn't have a voice, eventually you're going to end up with pure communism. Take a listen.
Of witch hunts, anything you do, they want to look at it. They look at it. They don't look at themselves. They don't look at Hunter. They don't look at anybody. All they do is look at Republicans. Devin is a fantastic guy. I think that he will do an incredible job. If our side doesn't have a voice, eventually you're going to end up with pure communism. It's a disgrace what's going on, but you're going to end up with a communist nation. And so Devin, we just put out the release on Devin. We're very proud of that. We're proud of him. And I think it's got a chance of being a very important day, actually. I think it's going to be a very important day.
And if you listen to what he said, he says, oh, when this goes live, yes, he congratulated Devin Nunes for taking it over. But when this goes live, it's going to be a special day because the people, they're going to have the power like we've never seen before. Because remember, the deep state players, they took the voice from the people without us really realizing they were doing it. It was infiltration from within. Then they created this whole system where they made everyone think, oh, look, the news is actually telling us everything we need to know. The news is telling us the truth. Oh, look, we have poll numbers. The country agrees with it. And now we can see the real truth. The people don't agree with this. This is what they wanted. And now the people are going to get their voice back. And the voice is going to be so loud, so thunderous, that the deep state, they won't know what to do. The Patriots are in full control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.